Welcome back, beautiful New York City area. I'm your host, Zen Sams, here on Fintech TV on the floor of the iconic New York Stock Exchange right here in downtown Manhattan. In just a few, we'll be joined by 16-year-old recording artist Stefan Benz, coming off his fresh releases Fastened and Babysitter. And of course, let's not forget his amazing debut on this season of ABC's American Idol. Stefan has been hailed by Us Weekly and quoted saying he's one of the youngest rising stars to watch out for in music right now, both as a singer and songwriter. He recently became the youngest artist in the history of South Africa to have a #1 hit. Momentarily, he joins me with his manager, Manny Mijares, co-founder of Hit Music Partners. Today we're chatting about where the music industry is headed in Web 3.0 and how the blockchain is empowering artists all around the world. We'll chat about the impact of digitalization of the music industry and how NFTs are reshaping artist payouts. Irrespective of the industry, it's widely agreed that artists and those creating content should be the ones that profit the most from the consumption of that content. In actuality, however, the biggest pieces of the pie are eaten up by the platforms that host this content. The music industry is one of the most egregious examples of this, which is why many music artists are now trying to take control with the integration of blockchain and decentralization. These are the primary cornerstones of Web 3 movement. Welcoming now to the show are Stefan Benz and Manny Mijares. Welcome to the show, superstars. Congrats on all your success.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Are you excited to be here?
We're very excited.
It looks crazy in here.
And by the way, it's a very exciting time in the music industry, so thank you for having us.
Yeah, there's a huge shift, but you know, you've made it when you're 16 and you're at the iconic New York Stock Exchange. So.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect when I walk in here, but it looks crazy in here. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
All right, well, let's get to it. So, Manny, let's talk. How is blockchain, I want you to tell us, how is blockchain and decentralization revolutionizing the music industry in this time and space?
That's actually a great question, and like I said, it's a very exciting time in the music industry, and I think traditionally there's been a resistance between the evolution of music and how people consume music. I think that from the very beginning, music was always born with a black eye and self-inflicted the other eye, you know, just getting beat up. And there's been a hard shift. When you had the record, you know, people didn't want to accept the tape. When you had the tape, people didn't want to accept the CD. But now it's very fascinating that the music industry and labels are accepting NFTs. They're exploring Web 3, and even from a company like Spotify, which is a Web 2 company, now everyone's shifting into Web 3. So I think that it's a very exciting time because of the way that people are accepting the inevitability of the music industry.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, at this point, when you look at smart contracts, right? Smart contracts are one of the most attractive features of the technology. You know, getting paid as a creative is not always the easiest thing. Stefan, you're going to figure this out very quickly. And all too often, up-and-coming musicians like yourself are just, you know, stiffed on their royalties, just not paid. And smart contracts are going to, in fact, help revolutionize and pave the way, and of course mitigate that big misperception, ensuring that creators are, of course, not being cheated and getting paid up front. Now, Stefan, at the cornerstone of Web 3.0 lies what we call community. And this will drive, of course, mass adoption, because community is at the core of it all, the same way that you have a community on social media, that you have now collectively, you know, you have 250,000 followers, maybe an aggregate of 1 million followers across all the platforms. Talk to me, in today's market, how are you going to manage to get your following from your current platforms on social media to follow you into your blockchain and metaverse projects?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really lucky to have a big chunk of my following on stable platforms such as, you know, Instagram and YouTube and those things, which is less of a, it feels like it's more stable than something like a TikTok, where I feel like it's harder for creators on TikTok to get those fans onto other platforms and to support the other things they do. So thankfully I have most of my fans in that, and I really have a loyal fan base. I have some crazy, some super fans that I love. And you know, I'm very blessed to have those fans that I think no matter what I do will follow into that. I'm just blessed to have those fans that support whatever I do.
And would you say that those fans are fully aware of what's happening in the blockchain and the shift that we are now moving into Web 3.0? gamification. Are your fans aware of these verticals that they could participate in?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I think all kids are kind of getting more aware. I mean, my little sister probably wouldn't know what to do with the CD. She's just all on her phone and working with other stuff. So I think the second something like that is available to everybody, I think they'll be able to figure it out in no time, especially my fans' age demographic, you know, 12-year-olds to, like, you know, 20 or something. I think that age range will definitely be able to follow into that.
And just to touch on that, I think with Web3 and just having something more stable is going to help artists and help them have longevity in the music industry. So if you take things like Vine, for example, where the artists had their fan base, they had their people there, and some had millions of followers, but when Vine just went away, you know, they lost a lot of that. So I think with Web3 and the blockchain and you know, a lot of these artist NFTs, you're going to be able to have a direct relationship with your fans, and that's going to change the game and revolutionize artists and their community.
Yeah, I mean, you just said it. I mean, NFTs have the potential to ensure that musicians are more fairly compensated for their work. I mean, with NFTs, musicians don't need to relinquish ownership of their content to platforms from the get-go, to your point. And some of these examples of NFTs we've seen, artists are now making money. They're monetizing outside of just their music income in other areas. I mean, the NFT market, if you look at it as a whole, started in 2023 with a huge bang, scoring over 945 million in sales and trading volume in January alone of this year. And this comeback means great news for collectors and traders after last year's harsh bear market. And what's more is NFT sales increased by 42% compared to December of 2022, and the numbers keep on rising. So this is amazing stuff. Now, Stefan, what do you think is the biggest mistake young artists are making today, and what kind of attraction does the metaverse really provide for your generation?
I see a lot of people my age trying to succeed in the music industry exactly like I am, right? And I think something that's missing, and something I talk about a lot, is going back to basics in a sense to be able to go into this more futuristic route of it, right? If you go into this futuristic route of all the Web3 stuff, and you know, and it becomes more digitalized, if you don't have a backing, which is the foundations of music and actually being able to be a musician and play guitar and being put in these situations, I don't think you'll be able to succeed. So I think what's lacking today is really just development of talent instead of just being thrown into the deep end of the music industry, which a lot of artists are being done to.
Yeah, without a doubt. And what do you think is the most attractive thing about the metaverse for your generation?
I mean, I think it's very intriguing for young people, something new. Whenever anything comes out, you know, when TikTok came out, I was like, what is this new app? And I think something like this integration with the metaverse, I think it's just a shiny new flashy toy for young people to be able to experience.
The metaverse is definitely a flashy new toy, not for just the kids, but for many. All right, let's move on. So, Manny, for decades, musicians have not been equitably compensated for their music, and this has been particularly apparent in the music industry. We know this. And as reported by Fortune, the typical total revenue split is 50-50, with only 50% of revenue going to the entertainer and the rest shared among agents, lawyers, and distributors. Now, this reality is even grimmer when it comes to musicians who distribute their content via streaming services. Now, most of Spotify's top 8% of artists earn less than $50,000 in streaming revenue, and that's the top 0.8%. But the digital process is a very different landscape. Manny, do artists still need labels going into this digital transformation?
I think yes and no, Zen. I think that what's the most exciting about this is that now you can imagine artists getting paid instantly. I think with performing rights organizations like ASCAP and BMI and SOCAN, traditionally you've had to wait sometimes years before you get your first red cent, before you get your first dollar. And that's not counting hits that go international. So I think that what can happen and what's possible very soon is that imagine you're in a Macy's and you hear your song in an envelope, or Stefan is at the mall and he hears his song in an elevator and then gets a ping on his cell phone that he just got paid. You know, so imagine not waiting years, not waiting months, but getting paid instantly. I think that that's very powerful, and I think that this isn't with Web3 and the blockchain. I don't think it's has how it's been in the past, which is versus the labels versus Spotify. You know, the labels versus this technology. I think for the first time in history, it's coming together. So I think that the labels haven't been as reluctant to take on change, which, coming from experience, is very fascinating. So I'm actually interested to see how they join and merge in the next, 10 years.
Well, I mean, look, it's amazing that you have a young artist like Stefan, who's 16 and who understands the value and the business proposition of not just being able to control a community of fan base, but then leveraging that community. That community will show up for you in the metaverse. That community will show up for your NFTs. Talk to me about the project that you have currently going on right now in the metaverse with the blockchain and the NFTs that that Stefan is a part of.
Yeah, no, I think that one of the things that make this so special is that you can attach it to other things, right? If Stefan has an NFT and it's available, you can attach it to a cause. We're actually working on a project where we're giving a royalty, master share royalty, in his new releases that comes along with us also donating to a charity, and being able to trade that and keep that value, I think is something that's
And what's the name of that platform?
There's actually a couple different platforms, but right now we're working with obviously Ethereum, but it's directly on our metaverse on musicpartners.com.
On musicpartners.com. There you go. So everybody has jumped on the bandwagon here. Stefan, thank you so much for coming. We are so happy that you came here to hang out with us this morning. Definitely a different,
I'm
crowd.
just looking at all the little TV screens.
Definitely not your average suit and tie guest, but you are definitely paving the way for your generation, going where there is no path and leaving that great big trail. Manny, thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Guys, thank you for joining me here on Fintech TV, live from the New York Stock Exchange. That was teen sensation recording artist Stefan Benz, and that was his awesome manager, Manny Mijares, co-founder of Hit Music Partners. Now, despite these challenges, the use of NFTs in the music industry is a very exciting development that has the potential to greatly benefit both artists and fans. As the technology continues to evolve and improve, we can expect to see even more innovative and creative uses for NFTs in the world of music. I'm your host, Zen Sams, live from the New York Stock Exchange, right here on Fintech TV. We'll be right back after this.